Hi, I'm Martha from Martha's Tarot Readings. I am a tarot reader, a psychic, a medium, a channeler, and sometimes a healer. For some time, I've been asked to start creating videos to share some of the nuggets that come through in our sessions. And so here I'd like to share with you one of the most frequently shared messages from our guides and angels. And that is you can control your thoughts. And it's not a big deal. It's not, policing your thoughts every minute of every day. It's literally paying attention to how you're feeling, learning to go into the thoughts that are precluding those feelings. What are you thinking before that emotion takes off? Now, I'm not talking about when you're pissed off because somebody just disrespected you. I'm talking about in the course of the day when all of a sudden you feel low or you feel yourself trembling with anger and there's no external circumstances to warrant that. Those are the feelings that I'm talking about. What's coming up for you on an average day? On a regular basis or occasionally? What is it that's rolling around in your heart? When you're feeling those emotions, that's the time when you quiet down, you let the emotions calm, and you try and recognize what thoughts were rolling around in your mind before you felt that. It's challenging at first because we're having to redirect our attention. We're not focusing in on, the next best thing that's going on or the next shiny object. We actually have to be self-aware. But once you start identifying those thoughts, then you can start shifting the direction of those thoughts. It's hard because it takes discipline. And I don't mean physical discipline or it really, once you start doing it, you're like, why didn't I do this 20 years ago? My life could have been so different. And that's the whole point. They want us to be in control of our lives by taking responsibility for our emotions and the thoughts that we're thinking. This often comes up when people are doing shadow work or healing anything that's going on in their lives. I know for me, it's been a really significant tool. I've had just in the last 10 years some very uncomfortable circumstances right here at my home where I couldn't actually change the circumstances. It was beyond my control. And I was stuck in situations that constantly made me sad, made me angry, made me rageful. But because I couldn't change the circumstances, the only thing I could do was pay attention to what I was feeling and then look at the thoughts that I was thinking. And what I found was people were triggering me. They were just being them. They were doing what they do, but I was having bad reactions to the things they were doing. So the guides, my angels, first told me, when you feel that trigger, step back for a second, even if you have to go to the bathroom and excuse yourself, get out of the room, take a deep breath and ask for healing. Ask for understanding. Ask to see this situation through their eyes. And when you're doing that, what's happening is you're taking yourself out of the moment. And by asking for healing, not only are you calling in your team, because your spiritual team really want to work with you. They're ready to help you with whatever you've got, but you have to engage them. You have to ask them for help. They can't intervene. I mean, if you're about to step off a curb and get hit by a bus, they can intervene and get you out of that situation. But in everyday situations, you have to ask them for what you want. So in this case, I was being triggered. I felt them tap me on the shoulder and they said, and I was like, oh, shit, I just want to punch him in the face right now. Do I really need to? So I closed my eyes for a second. I didn't care that I looked weird. I just closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and silently said, thank you for helping me heal this. Thank you for helping me see this through your eyes. I took another breath and then I opened my eyes. And immediately what that did was it stopped me from having a knee-jerk reaction to the situation because I was really angry and I really just wanted to punch the person and walk away. But I didn't do it. Instead, when I reset myself, I was able to actually non-reactively have that conversation with the person and ask them what was going on, what was happening here. And I repeated that process, that asking for healing and help over the next couple of weeks, every time I was around this person and I got triggered. And what I found started to happen was it shifted. Eventually, they didn't trigger me anymore. But what I discovered in that process was I had triggers. I had things about myself and the way I was behaving that was triggering this person. So their response to me was a trigger for me. So we just kept spiraling out of control with that. But once I took the step to break that cycle, it started to change. And now those triggers don't happen anymore with that person. But what was going on a different level was, yes, I was employing my guides and angels to work with me, but I was also telling my brain, we're going to heal this. We're going to change this. I'm going to see this from a different perspective. And as the weeks unfolded, I literally started to see my own behavior that I really don't like. I really didn't like it, but it was coming out and it was triggering this person. So I was able to see it, feel it, acknowledge it, and change it. It didn't mean that I had to, do any heavy lifting or difficult work to change who I was. I just said, yeah, I'm going to be nicer. I'm going to be more sensitive. I'm going to be more thoughtful. And that's really all it takes to change your mind. So on a bigger picture, in the larger aspects of our life, we can literally control what we're thinking. One of the best tools at our disposal is meditation, because with meditation, you're breathing and you're calming down. You're letting the thoughts go because we can't stop thinking. They're just going to keep coming up. But we say, I'm not going to think about that now. And we continue to go into the meditation. And the way that translates into your real life is presence. Everybody's heard the word, oh, you got to get presence. You got to be present. That's how you get it. You learn to say, this is coming up. I'm not going to think about that now, and let it go. So that when you're in a situation where there's a lot of external noise and challenges that are coming up, you don't have those knee-jerk reactions. You can literally say, do I need to respond that way right now? No? Okay, I'm going to change that. There may be some when you give yourself a minute to think and you go, hey, wait a minute. I would normally just kind of bow down to this and kind of roll over and accept it. But you know what? No, I'm going to have more authority and more agency right now. So no, I'm going to put up some boundaries. So there's a lot of ways that being present could work for you. When you're doing really deep healing work, whether it's shadow work or, if it's temporary, lighter stuff like I was having with this person, you might find yourself in an emotional state for a reason you can't understand. You might just be fine, and then in the middle of the afternoon, your emotions drop and you feel all blue and depressed, and you just keep moaning about, how your life sucks. And this morning you were doing great. So what is it that changed with no external triggers that created that emotion? People often think, oh, I'm bipolar, or I'm too depressive, or I'm so fucked up, I'm never going to heal. And that's not true. When you're experiencing those intense emotions that come out of nowhere, seemingly randomly, understand that there was a thought that preceded it. Guaranteed. The emotions don't just drop into place. They're not just, ooh, here, 1 minute. There's something that triggered that thought, but that thought happened. And it created that emotion for you. So the idea is to pay attention. You learn how to pay attention to your emotions through meditation, or just deciding, I am going to pay attention. You might feel it manifesting first in your body. I know for me, a lot of it was, my shoulders would hunch over and my back would get tight. And when I started to pay attention to my body, I knew, okay, something's going on. I'm all hunched up. So then I'd take a deep breath and just set the intention to be aware. And then I would notice emotions that were rolling up for me. It could have been anger, it could have been sadness, it could have been despair. And then recognizing that emotion, I'd kind of hold it and go, oh yeah, that sucks. I hate this feeling. What's going on? And then let it go. And then later on, a thought would occur to me about something my guy said to me that annoyed me, or made me feel bad, or made me feel little or not valuable. And then I would go, but where did that come from? And then it would start to be revealed. It was something from my early life. It could have been, a different relationship, or it could have been my childhood. And then that gave me the opportunity to look at that and go, okay, so that happened to me when I was young, but it doesn't mean that's going to continue to happen to me. And it doesn't mean that's who I am. That feeling that I received from that person when I was 5 was not me. It was their reflection. It was them reflecting themselves back to me. So, a 5-year-old isn't a piece of garbage. We know that. What 5-year-old is a bad person? So then you start to look at those thoughts and those old situations from a higher perspective. And then you can start paying more attention to it as time goes on. So this is a process. This isn't something that's going to happen like you flip a switch and, oh yeah, it's all fixed. It's layers and layers. It's peeling away little at a time, a little at a time. So you have to give yourself a break with this process. Don't feel pressured to see miraculous results the first time you try it. Know that it unfolds slowly. And all you really have to do is say, I'm going to pay attention to this. And then when the thoughts come up that you're no good, or this bad stuff always happens to me, and yeah, if I'm lucky, I'll do this. If I'm lucky, that will happen. And you start to change the words that you're using. Instead of saying, yeah, if I'm lucky, I'll be alive when it happens. You can say, yeah, there's a real possibility I'm going to be alive for this. Instead of saying, yeah, my life always sucked. Yeah, I was always broke. Yeah, maybe. I did have times of austerity, but I know prosperous times could be mine. I know. I know. I believe prosperity can be mine. And you literally have to start changing what you're thinking, those quiet thoughts that roll around in the back of your mind. You literally have to start shifting them. Now, another thing we love to do is complain. We call it venting. And it's great. It really kind of lets some steam off. It's really important if when you're in therapy to really talk about the issues, to get to the heart of them, to really get the full picture of what was going on. But then it could become a habit. We can just habitually complain and complain and complain. So I'm fortunate enough to work at my sister's shop 2 days a week. She has a beautiful picture frame shop. And I go in there 2 days a week and we work together. And the whole point of us being together is to be together. It's not about money and it's not about the work. It's about us sharing something and getting closer. And it's been amazing. It's been an amazing adventure for both of us. So we decided that we would give each other 15 seconds to complain, and then we literally had to switch it into a different direction. So I was complaining about my home life because for a while, a good long while, we had very difficult, challenging circumstances that we were living with. And I found myself just kind of dumping on her. And then she said, we should do the 15-second rule. And so she'd literally take out her watch and her phone and she'd time me. And so the idea was that I would get it out. I would make the complaint. But then after that 15 seconds, I either had to find something good in the players and the people and the situation, or switch the subject to something better, something to change the way I was feeling. Because those feelings, when we're stuck in them, they literally attract more. Think of the algorithm buttons on Instagram or Facebook. The more you hit the like button, the more of that you're going to see. And it's the same thing with our brains. So if you're spending all of your time regurgitating past wounds or what you're really pissed off about or how somebody did this injustice to you, guess what? You're going to see more of that experience in your life. So if you can spend 15 minutes complaining, 15 seconds, sorry, not 15 minutes, don't go there. Spend 15 seconds venting, and then spend 30 seconds, spend more time on the good stuff. You'll change that algorithm faster. I swear this works. And it's radically life changing. When I started to do that about the situation that I was in and complaining to my sister, the next thing I was able to do was that first process that I talked to you about, is paying attention to the emotions and looking for the thoughts behind it, asking for healing and asking to see it from a different perspective. And it totally changed my life. It changed the life of everybody in our household. Everybody got happier because it takes one person to be conscious, to hold the space for healing and light, to pay attention to their own thoughts and emotions and consciously shift that so it starts to spread to those around us. It may not work perfectly in every situation because we've got different players, different energy, different karma, lots of variables in there. But the most important thing is that it changes you. It changes your inner feeling. It changes your attitude, your outlook. And once you start changing that, guess what? Your life changes. Maybe not with those players, but your life itself will start to shift. So very simply, practice meditation. It's one of the super tools that we have. Just spend 2 minutes every day practicing it. Just breathe, relax, feel the energy, the tension leave your body. See yourself being filled up with that source light. See it move into your heart. If you're not going to do the whole thing of grounding, see that light move into your heart and feel your heart expand. That's a really powerful tool, moving into your heart space. So spend 2 minutes breathing, letting the tension go, seeing the light come into the heart and expanding. As thoughts pop up, just say, yeah, I'll think about that later, and move back into that connection. I promise you, the more you practice it, the longer you're able to stay in that connected space before another thought comes up. Thoughts will always come up. We think that's who we are, but you will teach your brain that you control what you think about. And that will help you when you're practicing in real life, literally changing dynamics, like changing the responses you have by asking for the healing and paying attention to what you're thinking. Literally changes your life. There it is. There's the biggest nugget I can share with you. That's the message that comes through in lots of different ways in almost every session that I have. So hit the like button, hit subscribe, share it with your friends, leave me a comment. If there's something you'd like to see me talk about, please let me know. I'm always available. Thanks, and see you next time.